The Philippine government can be confusing. At any given time, a bunch of different people make national headlines, passing laws, implementing programs, and convicting people of crimes. But how does this all work? Who controls the strings? Is it the president? The senators? How about the congressmen? What role do each of these people actually play in the government? Understandably, we see the president as the big boss of the Philippines, giving orders, making handshakes, and giving those big speeches in front of the people. But contrary to popular belief, the president is not the sole authority of the country. While he holds the highest office in the Philippines, his power is limited, or supposed to be limited, by the other branches of government. This is where all the other big names come in, and between them, the Constitution divides power and responsibility to ensure checks and balances, used to prevent one person or group from gaining too much power. But why do we need to control power? Well, if we don't, this happens. The Philippine government is divided into three branches: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Let's begin with one a lot of people think of when thinking about the word government: the executive branch. The executive is headed by the president, and the Constitution provides it, well, executive power, which essentially means that the executive branch has the authority to put laws into action, to ensure that they are actually carried out and do not just become words on paper. The president appoints people to form the cabinet, and each member, who you may know as the ones addressed as secretary, will serve as the head of an executive department, those government agencies like the Department of Education tasked with carrying out the country's laws. The president is also the commander-in-chief, meaning that he is the supreme authority of the country's armed forces. He can also grant pardons and exercise veto power, which is basically rejecting a bill to prevent it from becoming law. But if that's the case, who makes our laws? Is it not the president? Hint, it's not. The legislative branch of the government is, well, vested with legislative power, meaning it is responsible for making laws following a specific process that involves a lot of people. According to the Constitution, the legislative branch is the Congress, which is bicameral, composed of the Senate, filled by 24 senators, and the House of Representatives, which is limited to 250 members, informally called congressmen unless otherwise fixed by law, which is why the current number of seats as of publishing is 318. Since there are two chambers, the legislative branch is also headed by two people: the Speaker of the House, who heads the House of Representatives, and the Senate President, who heads the Senate. Any member of the Philippine Congress, regardless of whether they come from the Senate or the House of Representatives, can make bills, which are essentially proposed laws or, as you hear them in media, mga panukalang batas. Think of them as proposals that members of the legislative want to turn into a law, usually in response to what they think the country needs. At this stage, however, they have no legal effect, not until they are passed to become a law, which follows a lengthy process. First, a member of the Senate or the House of Representatives files a bill, which then undergoes 3 readings in the same chamber. If the bill passes all 3, the chamber transmits the bill to the other chamber, which also implements 3 readings. If the second chamber approves the bill, it is authenticated or signed by both the Speaker of the House and the Senate President. The President then signs the bills into law, assuming it is not vetoed. But Congress can also veto the President's veto, assuming that 2/3 of each chamber in the bicameral Congress, that is, 2/3 from the House of Representatives and the Senate each, votes to override the President's decision. Beyond making laws, Congress also has the power to remove certain officials from office, namely the President, the Vice President, members of the Supreme Court, members of constitutional commissions, and the Ombudsman. The House of Representatives has the sole power to initiate impeachment proceedings, and if at least 1/3 of them approve the articles of impeachment, the official in question is impeached. But note that impeachment only means that the House of Representatives has found sufficient grounds for the official in question to be charged and tried. After an official has been impeached, they are then tried in the Senate, which according to the Constitution shall forthwith proceed. If at least 2/3 of the Senate votes, the official is convicted, removed from office, and banned from securing any future government positions. The third and final branch of the government is the judicial, which the Constitution says is, you guessed it, vested with judicial power. The judicial branch deals with all manner of things related to justice. They interpret laws, deliver rulings on civil and criminal cases, and determine if laws are constitutional. The judiciary is divided into tiers, beginning with, depending on jurisdiction, municipal and metropolitan courts, or if the crime is serious enough, a regional trial court. A similar system applies to Muslim civil and customary laws, covered by Sharia circuit and district courts. After a ruling is delivered, the case can be taken to the Court of Appeals, which has the power to reverse or affirm a ruling from a lower court. There are also two other special courts on the same level as the Court of Appeals, the Sandigan Bayan, which hears cases related to graft and corruption, and the Court of Tax Appeals, which covers cases related to taxes. The highest court is the Supreme Court, composed by a Chief Justice and 14 Associate Justices, which are all appointed by the President from a list screened by the Judicial and Bar Council. It has administrative and judicial power over courts in the Philippines, and the most common way a case is heard by the Supreme Court is through appeals after a ruling is delivered from the Court of Appeals, the Sandigan Bayan, or the Court of Tax Appeals. However, the Supreme Court can choose which cases it will hear if there are special or important reasons, usually cases that are of national interest. Together, these three branches make the Philippine government tick. Assuming everything is done properly, they ensure that the interests of the Filipino people are protected. But historically, many people have questioned if that still continues to be the case. You see, to override the system, all you need to do is to control the system. Thus, in the delicate balance of power, there is a fourth player that helps with checks and balances: the people. The Filipino people vote officials into power, and in many ways also have the power to regulate those in power or remove them entirely. Whether or not the people will exercise this power or will unite to exercise this power will decide the future of the country.